Yeah, I think you might compliment us today. Shit.
Did you notice that right there? Things started to go south. I think on the previous heat prior to using the power hammer there is when I got the billet a little too hot and the copper started to melt and pool up in the final session in the forge there prior to using the power hammer. After continuing on with cleaning up the edges of the billet, I did notice that there was a substantial amount of copper still left outside of the core on either side. So I just decided to continue on and see where we were at. All right, we're starting the heat treat cycles here. Normalization is the first part. So there's three normalization cycles that I typically go through. One at 1600 degrees Fahrenheit, cool to black, 1500 degrees Fahrenheit, cool to black, and then 1400 degrees Fahrenheit. The second cycle at 1500 degrees is where I take it out and I'll put my maker's mark on it. I got a new stamp a couple of weeks ago and it is my bison logo instead of my initials. So I'm giving this a try on this particular blade. Now it's time for the quench cycle. 1500 degrees, let it soak for 10 minutes, pull it out straight into the Parks 50 quench oil.
Here's where we're at so far. After the initial forge welding session, I noticed that some copper had leaked out from the billet. I must have gotten a little too hot and some of it leaked out. I noticed it when I was on the power hammer and I had a pool of copper on the blade here. So that was the first sign that we had a major failure happening here. But after looking at the billet once I had finished getting it to the thickness that I wanted, putting it through the surface grinder, and then looking or doing the profile, looking at the edges, I could see that there was still copper on both sides of the core. So that led me to believe that I still had a chance to salvage this blade. So I started the initial grinding of the bevels, and everything looked okay. And then when I started doing the normalization cycles prior to heat treat, I started to notice that we were getting some delaminations here. It did survive the quench. It didn't blow apart. So that kind of tells me I still have a pretty good solid weld with copper that is still in the billet here. So what we're going to do is hit the grinder, clean up the bevels to their final grinding dimensions as far as the height, take a look at it there and see where we're at. So we're not out of the weeds yet, but we still might get away with making this a usable blade. So let's get to grinding. Hey everyone, sorry I lost accidentally deleted the footage for the final grinding there to see if we could actually salvage this project. But as you can see, this portion of it just would not come out. So I'm already at 0.02 of an inch on the edge, which makes this extremely thin so far. I mean, I'm almost at 0. So it's just not going to work out. This is just a complete failed project, which I kind of anticipated, was hoping for the best, but of course it ended up being the worst. So I apologize for not being able to show you a finished piece, but lessons learned. So much more research needs to go into this copper layered type of QMI, I guess they call it these days. It seems to be one of the things to do. So I thought, I've never done it before. This is my first attempt. And I had used W2 steel for my outer jacket and my core, and then in between the core and the jackets was a very thin layer of copper, which amounted to about the size of where my edge is now, which is approximately 0.02 of an inch, or less than 1 millimeter. So I'm not sure if that was too thin of copper to use, or if I need, maybe use thicker copper the next time. I'm not sure. Give me a comment down below if you have any suggestions for improving this process and what kind of, or at least what thickness of copper to use. I could probably make this into a smaller knife, but I can save that for another project at a later date. Just don't have the time to mess with that right now. Coming up, I'm going to be involved in the YouTube Knife Makers Chopper Challenge, which I will be involved in the viewers portion of that challenge. I am not one of the YouTube knife makers being judged by the viewers, but I am participating in that. So that deadline's next month, April 20th, and I've got it started. So I need to focus on that. I'm going to be making a hatchet. It'll be a Damascus clad with a 80 CRV2 core. So that should be a fun build. Looking forward to that. And we'll see where we go from there. Anyway, I appreciate you tuning in. Again, apologize for not showing that last bit of grinding to get to the place where I'm at with this now. It just didn't work out. But if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You'll be notified the next time a new video comes out. So again, thanks for tuning in. God bless you. Have a great day.